Hey, what's up? This is Gary from Raz Rentals. So here's the deal. I was really excited to get Wave 3 of Super7's brand new Ultimates figures, but in all honesty, April O'Neil is never one of my favorite toys in any Ninja Turtle line. Maybe I'm a chauvinist. Maybe I'm a pig. I don't care. It's just the truth. When you're dealing with toy lines that have giant, mutant rhinos and robotic turtles and stuff like that, you look at April and you're like, she's a reporter in a yellow jumpsuit. It's just not that exciting. So when I was a kid, I never really had the original April from the first series. I got the later April that had like the orange paint on it. It had a better looking head and all that kind of stuff. But I'm hoping that Super7 wins me over with this one. Super7 has done a good job so far of winning me over with a few characters. I've mentioned in my Ultimates Shredder and my Ultimates Splinter review that I was never a really big fan of either of those toys when I was a kid. But after opening up the Ultimates and moving them around, I became a fan of those designs from the Ultimates waves. Shredder looked awesome and Splinter looked awesome. You could do a lot of really cool things with them. And I feel like they fixed a lot of the problems I had with those original toys. So maybe Super7 will win me over with this brand new Ultimates April O'Neil action figure. Just to begin with, I gotta say this. I ordered Rocksteady and Michelangelo and Metalhead from Super7, and this was like a money-saving thing, or like, you're trying to not spend a bunch of money at once. So I ordered those three guys from Super7, and I ordered April O'Neil from Big Bad Toy Store. Now, people were actually getting their Big Bad Toy Store orders if you ordered like the whole wave like a month ago. And then Super7 didn't release their Ultimates figures until the beginning of like, I guess it's almost like the end of August now. And when Super7 released those single, those three characters to me, that was the same time that Big Bad Toy Store sent me this single April O'Neil. So, that's all cool. I got them on the same exact day, even though I ordered them from two different places. So I don't know if that was like some kind of setup that, Super7 and Big Bad Toy Store had going on. So let's open this thing up and take a look at this brand new April O'Neil. Just like all the other figures in this wave, they come in these cool boxes. You open them up and you get another box inside. Oh, come on. All right, so first it comes in a bag. Pull that bag right off. There's like a cicada or something right out my window. So here you go. There is the cover, the slip cover of the April O'Neil action figure. Here you can see April's head, and just like on the manhole covers of every single figure from this line, it has like their weapons. April doesn't have a weapon unless she's got that pistol in here. But here it shows two cameras. So, that's cool. That's her weapon. She fights battles with journalism. All the good guys in this wave, all the good guys in this series have slipcovers that are green, and all the villains have slipcovers that are purple. This wave had 3 good guys and 1 villain. So, I do like villains a lot, but, when you get Metalhead, he could be either a good guy or a bad guy. The next wave, wave 4, that's all good guys. It's Casey Jones, Muckman, Donatello, and Mondo Gecko. But, like Muckman for me, I feel like he could go either way. In my imagination, he could be a bad guy too. So you pull that slipcover off, and there's April O'Neil. And, I think she looks pretty cool. I think she looks good. I do see what some people are saying about like right off the bat, like maybe, I don't know if it's the waxiness or something, but like that face in there looks very shiny. Same thing with this one. But I kind of, that face looks pretty good too. Like the way that the hair looks is pretty nice. So I'm going to have to open this thing up and take a closer look and see everything. She does have that pistol, all right. She's not going to let Shredder kidnap her. She's going to shoot him right in the face. Oh, I like that you actually have 2 different versions of the turtle communicator. That's pretty awesome. You got a closed one and an open one. Sometimes if you have stuff that's like, that can close and open, you'd have like too big of a hinge and it'd look weird. So I'm glad that they included both here. All right, so the back says April O'Neil, TV news reporter and Turtles ally. April's a determined TV news journalist, always prepared for the late breaking news feature with her camcorder strapped around her arm. Her eagerness can get her into a heap of trouble. That is true. She is an instigator. She likes to push things way beyond the boundaries and then act like, oh, I didn't mean to get captured. They just came and got me. Like, no, she's always getting involved. But it's nothing she or the Turtles can't handle. April's no airhead and is a valuable member of Team Turtles. Being a human has its advantages, after all, like getting into places the Turtles can't. When the situation calls for more than a news flash, April's ready with a trusty gun, which is secretly locked inside her camcorder. So here she is, the brand new Ultimates April, fresh out of the package, ready to start sticking her nose where it doesn't belong, which, will eventually cause the Ninja Turtles to get into a fight. I mean, what does she care? She's not fighting anybody. And man, people weren't joking when they said that this was one bright action figure. I mean, look at this. I'm blinded. Nah, it's actually not that bad. I think sometimes people don't know how to adjust their brightness. Like sometimes when you're shooting video, you got to white balance and that kind of stuff to, make bright colors look correct. I stick my hand out there that like to do that. Sometimes that works. Sometimes people use like a sheet of paper and stuff like that. So I think that, sometimes people have too harsh of lights. And, people don't know how to adjust it appropriately. Because if you look at her next to, the Ninja Turtles, like Leonardo's a very dark color to begin with. And same thing with Michelangelo. Michelangelo is very dark. But, she looks perfectly fine next to them. She's not, completely bright or anything like that. So don't always believe what you see on the internet, kids. Sometimes you need to have this in your hands to actually see how it looks. And like I said, in my opinion, it looks perfectly fine. I started this video by talking about how I really hoped that Super 7 would win me over with this April, because the original one wasn't that great. And all I can say is, yes, they did. This is great. This looks like a great upgrade of that original kind of ugly action figure. April was a little controversial when she was announced. People didn't really like her face, and people seemed to think that something about the rest of her was just not right. I mean, in the cartoon, she looks like she has huge tracts of land in Northampton. I think some of the negative response can be attributed to the flat lighting they used in the promo shots. Like, it made April's midsection appear kind of round and undefined, and quite frankly, my dear, and this may upset a couple of people, she just kind of looks a little chubby or something like that, And I'm a chubby guy too, so take it what it is. But neither the cartoon or the original toy portrayed April, that way. She always has sort of like an athletic build. Pretty much in every single Ninja Turtle franchise, she always kind of has the same kind of build. So people got a little defensive about this. I also think that her rounded face didn't really help things much either. People got defensive because, they felt like Super 7 was trying to change April's body type. And, they were trying to, cover up what April looked like in the past or something like that. And I think Super 7's response didn't really do much to help either. It was basically, just some weird guys on the internet want April to have big boobs. I mean, yes, some of those guys do, but also, no, that's not exactly the whole point. I mean, of course you have those people that want to over-sexualize everything, and it gets weird, I think it gets weird at least. Like the Wildstorm Thundercats comic, The Return. No, I didn't need to read that the mutants defiled Chitara, and Mummer was doing weird things with the cats. Nobody needs to read any of that stuff. That was weird and gross. I kind of, probably agree with the more moderate people, who complained about these things. Where you just feel like companies, they keep on throwing nostalgia in your face, telling you, remember this? Buy this. You remember this? Buy it. While at the same time wagging their finger at you and, kind of making it sound like, everything you used to like about that franchise was inherently wrong or something. April had an athletic build. There's nothing wrong about that. Some people are like that and some people have different body shapes. But when people think of April from back in the day, they have a certain idea of how April looks. I mean, and in all honesty, I don't think that Super 7 was trying to do that. I don't think they were trying to make some kind of statement or anything like that. I think that it just kind of happened this way, you know? I think that they looked at that old toy and tried to figure out how to upgrade it and fill it out to try to make it look a little bit more proportional or something like that, or, you know, just a little more thought out. And this is just kind of what happened. I just can't see, like, Super 7, you know, sitting around being like, we need to, like, upgrade all those old Playmates toys and make them more bodacious and extreme. Except for April. We have to dial her down a little bit and, you know, square her up a little bit. I think if anything, you could make the conversation that they just didn't push April's design enough. Now, if you take a look at April's figure in hand, you know, it doesn't look that bad. Like, you know, I think, like I said, I think there was a little bit of the lightning with those pictures and a few other things happening here. Like, if you look at April straight on, like, she has sort of like the hourglass shape. She's definitely not as, like, skinny, I guess, as the original Playmates action figure, but it's still, like, you know, it's not as, it's not like the pictures as much. However, if you turn her in a 3/4 view, that makes her look a little bit more full-figured, I guess, you know. It's just, I don't know what exactly it is. But if you turn her in a profile, I mean, she's extremely skinny. So what's going on here? There's something about this sculpt that is just kind of like throwing the optics of it. I don't know what exactly is going on here. I think what also they could have done to help this situation was maybe extend the pelvis a little bit. It kind of looks a little squished, so everything kind of looks a little, you know, crunched in there. Like, if you look at the original toy, the pelvis is a little long, perhaps maybe a little too long, but, you know, if you're, like, counting heads down, like, I don't know, it doesn't, you know, this could be extended a little bit. You could have probably extended the pelvis down a little bit and maybe shortened the legs or just made her a little taller. I don't know. I can't tell what's going on here. Also, I think that this head, you know, didn't really help matters. This head is very round, and it's like kind of small compared to her body. So it makes her body look big compared to her head. But this is another one of those things where it's like an optics thing, right? Because if you remove this head and you replace it with the new one, this new head is a lot bigger than that other head. Like, well, not a lot bigger, but slightly bigger. I feel like this kind of even things out a little better. Anyways, because of this small amount of backlash, Super 7 said that they reworked the head and the body to make it better. The final April body looks fine, but I don't think they adjusted it at all. Like, it looks exactly the same. Everything looks the same size and the same shape, and all the details are exactly the same. So I don't know what they're talking about when they're, like, saying that they adjusted April's body. I don't think they adjusted it at all, to be honest. I just think in hand it looks a little different than it does in those pictures, and that's about it. They did change the head, though. Like, if you look at the original head, the eyes are kind of close together. I think that maybe they were trying to make it look a little too much like that original toy from 1988. If you look at the brand new April head, they spaced the eyes out a little bit, and maybe they softened some of the features up a little bit. I don't know. I think they did a little bit of something, but I can't really tell other than the eyes what they did. Not to mention, also because of the backlash, they decided to, you know, make this brand new head. And I think this head looks great, you know. I think this head looks way better than the other heads. And I'm probably always going to display her with this head. Now, let's get into the main comparison. Because April was packaged with this awesome new head, you know, I might as well talk about this first. And then I'll switch it out for the old style head. You know, that way I can compare the full body with the new old head, new body versus the old head and the old body. So, you know, like I said, I think everything about this head looks way better than that other head. Even like the glossiness isn't as bad with this head. I think the color of the hair is fine. You know, everything about it looks pretty good. I don't know how they put these eyes on here. They look to me like stickers, but I don't know how they apply them. They kind of remind me of like when you have Easter eggs and you put like that wrap around the Easter eggs and then you kind of blow it with like a hair dryer and it like shrinks on the Easter egg. That's what these remind me. They're like some kind of overlays or something like that. I don't know what they're called exactly. Tell me and educate me here. So, like I said, I think that this is a pretty good looking head. And you know, I think that they based this on this April head from, I believe this came out in 1990. This came out 2 years after the original April head. They obviously, you know, changed the body a little bit by adding all these orange colors, but they gave her a brand new head, a way better head. And if you look at the hair, you know, it matches up pretty exact. You know, you have the part there on the side. You have the poofiness of the bangs above the eyes like that. Even if you look at the profile of the head, the hair is set up pretty similar. So, you know, I think that this is where they kind of drew inspiration from. I mean, it's a pretty nice, like I said, I think that this was definitely the better April. This was the April I had when I was a kid. I didn't have that original one. I remember getting April and then it like disappearing. I don't even know what happened to it. I must have broke it pretty quickly. Super 7 will probably release this April with the, you know, these orange highlights. This is like an exclusive or something like that in the future. Something just to, you know, get some more money out of your pocket. I also think that her hair matches the cartoon a little more. You know, the other one was just like way too straight, and this one kind of has that same kind of poofiness. I think even the part is in the same place, and the poofy bangs in the front. The only thing that I could possibly say about this, that's a small negative, you know, it's not even really that big because it matches the rest of the toy line, is that this head may be a little too big. The eyes and the lips, you know, they're applied pretty good, but maybe off a little bit, like the peak of like the edges of her lips are kind of maybe a little higher than the actual line of her mouth. But you really have to look to really notice that. Like, it's not bad at all. It's like barely noticeable. And plus her eyes don't like, you know, they're pretty close to being where they're supposed to be, but they just might be a little tad off. So, you know, that's just probably like a quality thing where it probably just depends on your April, you know, how lined up everything is. Like, if you look at her straight ahead, you really don't notice that the lips aren't on center with the line sculpted on her face. It looks pretty good. I think maybe because the line is so faint, like it's just kind of hard to see. But if you do like start to turn her head at like an angle looking up, you do notice that line more. Now this might be something that it's kind of hard to show up on camera, but in person I notice it a lot more. Once you start to angle her face up, you really notice that the peaks of the edges of her lips don't line up with that line. In fact, you know, the lips in general just don't line up with that. So I wonder how this face would actually look a little bit differently if her lips were a little further down. All right, so for the full body comparison, like I said, I swapped out the brand new head and replaced it with this head that is inspired by the original April head from 1988. And, you know, this thing just looks way better than this. Like, obviously, I don't like this as much as the new head, but it just looks light years above this original one. I mean, this one, her face is softer. You know, she actually looks, you know, I think it's well done. This one is like she looks kind of sickly. Like she's got these big black lines around her eyes, like her makeup is running or something like that. She kind of reminds me of Elaine in Seinfeld. Like, Yamahama, like what happened to her? Plus her chin is extremely pointy. I don't know if it's like that with every April action figure from back in the day, but this one is extremely pointy. It looks like Bebop and Rocksteady couldn't even like kidnap her. Like, she'd just chin them in the face and they'd run away in pain and in terror. So, yeah, if you look at this, if you look at these straight on, the shape of this brand new head looks a lot nicer. This old one is just like way too high. She's almost kind of got like a cone head thing going on, especially if you look at it from the profile here. She's got like a pointy head. This new one, it looks just softer. It's a better shape. But the form of the hair, you know, it's very similar. Like how the hair is kind of like combed this direction, and you kind of have like the hair strands underneath here. I mean, they copied that pretty verbatim, you know, but I think it just looks a lot nicer. Even this side of the head, the strands look very similar. You even have this like one strand on her cheek. You kind of have that going here, and you also have this one strand coming down from her part. So, this looks way better. Her eyebrows, they're very thin, and they just kind of like angle up, which kind of might make her look a little angry. But this old one, I don't know. It's just not that good. So to begin with, head looks a lot better. All right, so torso, I think, looks a lot better too. This original one is kind of like clumsy or like uninspired. Like they just didn't know how to like sculpt female characters back then. Like they always looked kind of weird. Like they just didn't understand it. They couldn't get it. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't think we had like good female action figures until probably like Spider-Woman in Marvel Legends. She was like, that was like, I remember like all the old Marvel Legends, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what did they do to these poor women? And then that one finally came out, and you're like, oh, they actually sculpted a pretty decent looking female. Like, good job. They're getting better. And I think that this April is definitely better. Her form actually looks good. Like the way her like pelvis connects to her hips and stuff like that looks a little more natural. She's shaped just a little better than this one. I mean, this one just looks like her legs are like stuck on her body. One thing I will say is that in general, this April action figure, like it definitely looks like there's cloth like on top of a torso or like on top of her arms, especially. It really creates that illusion that this cloth is being stretched upon her like form underneath. So I think that is way better than the original one. So as I mentioned earlier, people were unhappy with April's torso, I just think people think of April from the cartoon. The toy was like, weirdly proportioned and stuff like that. In the cartoon, April was kind of like a bombshell, I always thought April was kind of like a supermodel or something. Like she was supposed to be tall and kind of like highly sought after. That's why they, made her one of the news anchors. She looked like the kind of girl that, you'd risk your life to save. Or, you'd try to kidnap sometimes. No, I kid. But, you got to forget all that and keep those comparisons in mind when NECA releases their ultimate April. Their hopefully improved April O'Neil. This is April strictly inspired by the 88 toy, so let's see how that compares. If you look at the build of her torso, you can see how they like pretty much try to make it as close to the original as possible. I think the biggest difference is just like the size of her waist. The original one, the waist got pretty thin, and this one just doesn't get it as much. I think some of it is because the lower torso is kind of like crunched on this new one. It's not as long as the original, so maybe they just didn't kind of have the space to work that shape out. So if you look at the arms here, you'll notice that like the stripe does not cover the whole pocket like the original one. I'm trying to decide if that even if that bothers me or not. Like obviously if I have to sit there and think about it, it's probably not that big of a deal. But I've been trying to like squint my eyes and just kind of like look at this thing like for composition's sake. Like, does it look better having that stripe go all the way down? Even the original one, because you didn't have that stripe on the flap, it like kind of does break up the style a little bit. I don't know. I think on this brand new one arms, they look fine. But like maybe the legs, that pocket is just a little too big not to have the stripe. But I really like the color of the stripe. I think they matched color-wise. I think that the yellow matches the yellow, the blue matches the blue, and even her skin tone matches this original skin tone pretty faithfully. So, that's all good. This brand new one has a lot more wrinkles in the arms. I think they look a lot nicer than this original one. This original one, as I said before, and I'll continue to say, it looks a little clumsy. It just kind of looks a little like bumpy and stuff like that, where this one just looks a lot nicer. The wrinkles look really good. Plus, you have this like darker shade on top of the wrinkles to really, emphasize some shadowing. There's even a little bit of a light shadowing down here on her abdomen. If you look at her abdomen again, you'll notice that like even the wrinkles, they match those. They go diagonally across here. They did that. She's got these pockets on the front of her jacket. I think that they are shaped a little better on this brand new one. I feel like this one, is like there's something off about them. They don't look like as rectangle or something like that as they should. Like they were just being a little sloppy when they made it. You know, like, what can you really say about April? I'm not trying to... She really doesn't have much detail, so there's not really much that you can really go over here. It's not like Muckman or Rocksteady or Bebop where you could just really cover a lot. You know, there's just some things that, you know, I mean, she's just in a yellow jumpsuit. She's got nothing going on. You have this wrinkle here. You do have this curved wrinkle, just like, well, this one has this curved wrinkle just like the original one. So that's cool. You kind of have like this peak design here on the top of her jacket. That's cool. You even have the Ninja Turtles logo, and this brand new one is a lot clearer than this other one. Yeah. Even her belt here, you have the 2 loops in the back. They're a little closer on this new one. In the front here, you have the same number of loops, and you kind of just have a very plain white belt buckle. Her lower torso looks pretty good. Like I said before, I feel like it actually looks like it's thought out. You know, this old one just looks a little like they half-assed it a little bit. This one actually looks like they figured out how to like connect her legs to her pelvis, which is good. There's actually more wrinkles on the thighs of this original one. You don't really have those wrinkles on this new one, but it still looks fine. It still looks like it's like her leg is like, you know, well put together, I guess. You kind of have like these wrinkles here. The original lower torso, like, I don't know. It's just, she actually looks like a fully formed person. The wrinkles coming out of the top of her boot here, they look fine on the original one, but like I said, these brand new ones, I really like these wrinkles here. Like, they just look more natural. I feel like the original wrinkles on the pants here, they look like how I would draw wrinkles, where I feel like this one looks like how wrinkles would actually look. So, yeah, there you go. The boots, like, there's not even much you can really say about the boots, because she just has plain white boots. There's nothing really special going on about them. You do have this crease here between her shin and the top of her foot. You don't have that on the brand new one, probably because it would, like, clutter up the design and stuff like that and would look kind of weird. So I'm okay with them not having it. And on the bottom here, the treads look pretty nice on this brand new April. The original one did not have any treads. It's just completely flat. And that's about it. You know, they really did like improve this figure way back when they did release this this second version of April, even though I think there is a second, like April 2 or something like that came out in 1992. So I don't even know what you refer to this as. This is like a reissue or something. I don't know. You know, I probably like the all yellow with the blue stripes like design better than this orange design, but this is just, you know, such a nicer head, you know. Just like I think that this head right here is a lot nicer than this other head. Yeah, so we're gonna get rid of that head, and then for the rest of the review, I am mostly going to use this head because I think this head looks nicer. The articulation of the original April from 1988 is very simple, and I don't know if I'd even say it works well, because, you know, her hips get very loose, and she starts falling over. Plus, like, you know, what are you really going to do with the way that she's cut? Like, I don't know. It's, like, you really can't do too much with this April action figure. So, you have a neck cut, so the head will swivel around. You have shoulder joints. They rotate all the way around. You have forearm cuts. They swivel, but, like, you know, you're not going to be able to do anything exciting with her. She's got a waist cut, so you can turn her all the way around. And then you have these, you know, cut hips, which rotate all the way around. And like I said, these aren't the best. She, like, falls over all the time. The Ninja Turtles had ball-jointed hips, so even though their feet kind of stunk, you can still try to, like, work them and get them to stand pretty well. But, like, her stance is very limited. You know, she's always kind of stuck in this pose. And, yeah, once these become loose, she just starts flopping over. I do have a... I usually use this April on my actual display. This is like a 25th anniversary April. She's a little stiffer, so she stands up a lot better than this one does. I mean, this is just all over the place. The articulation of the brand new April is pretty good, but it has some problems. You know, there's some things here that you know, are just not working out so good. The head works fine. You know, she can twist it all the way around. You're not going to be able to get her to look up very high because of the hair, and that's about as low as you can look down, so that's okay. She has no articulation in the upper torso. She can swivel around the waist. I think maybe that's a ball joint in there, but it's kind of hard to tell. It just swivels for me. Her shoulders rotate around, plus she has a hinge there, so you can rotate them out like that. You have a swivel in the elbow here. You have single jointed elbows. You got a hinge there. The wrists swivel all the way around. You have a hinge there, so those work okay. And the hips, they're like kind of like a ball jointed hip system. So you can rotate it forward. You can rotate a little bit back. This is like a soft rubber, this pelvis area here. So like that will stop that from going any further than that. You can rotate upward as much as you can. And you can see it's like you have a piece here and it's cut there. So you can try to rotate her leg, but because of the pants, like you can't really rotate it too much. You have single jointed knees, which work pretty well. I like these single jointed knees. They bend okay. You don't get like a full 90-degree angle or anything like that. And you also have a swivel. And you don't... I'm surprised that you don't have a boot cut here, because like that seems like something they would have. But no, you don't have that. You just have a hinge in the ankle, and you have ankle rockers. So my biggest thing, I think the biggest problem with this April action figure is the elbows. Now, I'm not a fan of double jointed elbows, right? I feel like they always look funky or like weird or something like that. But what I think they should have done was, you know, you have this, her sleeves are folded up like above her elbow, right? So, you know, that's a good look. That looks cool, right? But unfortunately, the fold here is too low. So you can only bend her arm so far, which kind of stinks. Like if this fold was up a little higher, like just angled a little differently, so you could actually bend this arm further up, that'd be way better. Because at the moment, you can't really get her to pose with her microphone in front of her face. It's kind of a bummer. She's always going to be stuck pointing this microphone to other people. You know, like that's, like I said, I feel like, you know, if this elbow problem was fixed, like the articulation would be almost perfect, you know? It'd be good. It's a limited kind of articulation, which is I'm okay with. I'm okay with Super 7 having not like super crazy articulated action figures, just as long as they look cool. But you also want them to function a little better than this. So that's kind of a bummer. It's also going to, you won't be able to get her like to hold this camera anywhere near her face for her to actually look into it. So like, you know, that's kind of a problem. At this point in time, Super 7 for me is 3-3, right? They won me over with their Splinter, they won me over with their Shredder, and now they won me over with their brand new Ultimates April. I think all these were great upgrades to those original figures that I just didn't really like when I was a kid. So, you know, good job. In my opinion, this is probably the, I think that this is like the best April action figure. I think, you know, it's your move, NECA. Your Ultimates, or your Fred Wolf Ultimate April, better step up its game if you're hoping to beat this. All right, so now we get to talk about accessories. And for me, April really excels this wave with her accessories. She's got a lot of really cool things here. And first up, we'll talk about the weapons rack. Now, this weapons rack is pretty cool because it's actually built out of these legs. And these legs make a tripod for the camera to sit on. And I'll show you that tripod in a second. But what I wanted to show you before that was I have a carded April O'Neil. And if you look at the original weapons rack, it is built pretty much the exact same way. Only this time you just had this generic piece of plastic. Now you actually have it built out of those legs, which is pretty cool. But everything else is like in the same spot. You know, you have a couple added bits and pieces here. Like, you know, they say that this is a microphone in the original release, but it does look a lot like a flashlight. So you have the brand new flashlight on the bottom. The microphone is new, and you also get one extra ninja star. So that's pretty cool. And now we'll talk about everything included on this. So just like the Ninja Turtles, you get double of everything, right? So you have all those legs for the tripod connected to the weapons rack, and then you got an extra set so that you can actually make the tripod without pulling that weapons pack apart or whatever. So you just stick the legs into this piece here, and it's just kind of held in there with friction. This one is kind of loose. It always keeps falling out on me, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It might be a little short though. I think it's a really cool idea, but because it is so low, I mean, come on, she'd mostly be shooting legs and butts. So, maybe that's how April gets her kicks. I don't know. So you got a little pig here coming out of the top of the tripod, and there's a little hole in the bottom of the camera. It just fits on there like so. Speaking of the camera, or the camcorder, here is the brand new one next to the original one from 1988. Now, they're pretty much the exact same size. So, it might be a little too small. I don't know. I mean, it fits in her hands well. It doesn't look small when she's holding it. So it's not that bad. Some of the extra details are pretty nice. I like the tape there on the side. That's pretty cool. I like how you actually have like a red button. I like that a lot too. This original one just has like a hole there. The lens looks pretty nice. The original one was okay, I guess. You turn it, the eyepiece here, that looks really cool. The original one's just a square. And then on the other side, you're kind of missing all these buttons. I'm surprised that they left that out. I would have thought that they would have included all that. Other than the buttons, the real big change here, or the thing they left out, is this, this little piece down here that sticks out where the gun goes in. So, yeah, that's that. Let's see, if you look at where you insert the gun, that's roughly the same size too. Speaking of the gun, here is the brand new gun next to the old gun. Now, it's not called a pistol or anything like that. It's just called gun on the back of the April O'Neil card. As you can see, this looks more realistic. I like the handle. I like the grip. That's pretty cool looking. The original one was very boxy, very rectangular. However, like, they're the same size. Like, I think that is probably the biggest thing that I could really say about the Super 7 action figures, is that the accessories lots of times are smaller than they should be. Now, this may look perfectly fine in her hand when she's holding it, but, like Bebop, like his drill gun was a lot smaller. Oh. So here's April holding the gun. Now, I don't know anything about realistic gun sizes or anything like that, so I don't know if this is actually too small for her hand or if it looks perfectly fine in her hands. If you are a gun connoisseur, let me know. What do you think? Does it look pretty good? I think one of the problems with this is, I think it's great that they included a trigger finger hands, but the way you have to, like, angle it to get that finger in there, it kind of makes it kind of strange. It's not like, I don't know, like she would hold her, if she's holding her hand straight, it's like it's pointing down, so you kind of have to angle it up a little bit in order to make it shoot straight. I think it looks nice though. It looks pretty good in her hands. So this gun actually goes inside the camcorder, which is pretty cool. Like I showed you before, you got that little hole there, so you can kind of stick that inside of there. Now, my original one does not stay in place. It's kind of crappy. And, like, I always thought this was weird because she has to hold it so strange. And even as a kid, it, like, perplexed me. I was like, why would she hide a gun in that camcorder? That's strange. My 25th anniversary gun camcorder actually works a lot better because it actually clicks into place. So you can just kind of snap it in or snap it out and snap it back in. So, that's way better. The brand new combination probably works a little easier than the original one because you can just slide this right in there. I don't think it clicks, but you just slide it on and it stays there. And this is the only way that April can actually hold this camcorder. I used to wonder why April O'Neil would walk around with a gun inside of her camcorder, but just think about it. It makes perfect sense. I mean, she lives in a world filled with giant Ninja Turtles and Warhog men and rhinoceros dudes. Like, she needs something to protect herself. I could just picture it now. Like, giant Bebop and Rocksteady, these monstrous hulking forces, walking up to her with their machine guns and their giant animal heads, being like, "Oh, you little bimbo, I'm gonna make you eat that camera." And then, April could respond something witty like, "Not if you eat it first, buddy." Shoot him right in the face. And then Bebop was like, "Oh my gosh, Rocksteady! Oh my gosh, we were just gonna kidnap you while Shredder trying to turn everybody into jelly beans. Oh my gosh!" You may be wondering, does April ever use the gun in the original animated TV series? Yes. She at least uses it in one episode that I know of. That is the season 4 episode, The Foot Soldiers Are Revolting. In that episode, the upgraded, advanced foot soldier, Alpha 1, develops this machine that he can use to blast Earthlings into Dimension X. He wants to get rid of all life forms on Earth so he can take over and, live here with all of his robot buddies. So he shoots this machine, or this beam, at the Channel 6 crew, like Burns, Irma, and Vernon, and sends them all to Dimension X. Only April is left inside the building, and she's kind of freaking out. And at one point, she has the gun in her hand. And, she doesn't know what's going on. And then, right after that, the gun kind of disappears and doesn't show up again in the rest of the episode. The original April O'Neil had a wireless microphone, but this doesn't look like any microphone I've ever seen. So this brand new Ultimates April does have a microphone, and that's a pretty good looking microphone. The paint on this is pretty nice. It's kind of got like a metallic paint. That looks really awesome. But this original microphone, this looks more like a flashlight. So Super7 also included a flashlight. And again, this is painted really well. The up here where the light comes out is kind of a silver. I don't know what they could have done there to make it look more like a light. I think it's fine. Maybe if you would painted a white to kind of make it look like light is passing through it. But in general, it looks pretty good. It's kind of got like a shiny paint. Plus, that button there is a nice red color, I mean, look at the original April hold this thing. This thing is gigantic. It doesn't look like she'd be talking into this thing. But if it was a flashlight, now I guess, I don't know. This is such a lazy looking design. This original wireless microphone or flashlight. April has a nice set of gripping hands, which I'll talk about a little more in a little bit. So she can hold both the microphone and the flashlight. Whatever. But like I said, because the articulation is a little limited, it's going to be kind of tough making this look natural, like she's actually talking into it. I kind of like having April hold the flashlight like this, and she can hold the gun like that. It makes her kind of look like a homicide detective or something like that. Like she quit working in the newsroom, and now she's stalking deadly killers in the night. Included with April is also 2 ninja stars. Now, the original April only came with one, and of course it was this dark gray color, just like this brand new ninja star is this dark gray color. I feel like this is a mistake, though, because, the ninja stars on the weapons rack are gray just like this. Because this one was not a part of the weapons rack, I feel like it should be silver like all the other ninja stars in this line, like that. Also, this ninja star is a brand new size. This is smaller than the other ones. This one right here is Splinters. And then you have the much bigger ones that came with the Ninja Turtles and the Foot Soldier and maybe Shredder. I think he had Ninja Stars too. April can hold the Ninja Star in both her regular gripping hand and her trigger finger gripping hand. So, that's good. The original April O'Neil couldn't hold her Ninja Star at all. So... this new one is definitely an improvement. You know what everybody used to do back in the day when they'd get this Ninja Star? They'd stick it inside this portable TMNT computer, and then they'd leave it in there. And then you'd be a little kid, so you didn't have big nails, and I could never, get this thing open. Speaking of the TMNT portable computer, see what I did there? That's what's called a segue. I'll just keep on saying, speaking of. All right, so this one is the original one from 1988, and this is the brand new one. I'm glad that they made this one a lot bigger in size. You know, that's cool. However, it does not stay shut. That is a problem. My 25th anniversary portable computer doesn't stay shut either. This is an original one. You know, for whatever reason, it just works so much better. This one just won't stay closed. It also has sort of the same problem the original one had. Like, you see, this, like, joint here, it's just kept together by, like, a thin piece of plastic, you know, because this whole thing is just one piece. And you keep on opening and closing this, eventually that piece of plastic is going to get weak and it'll probably crack. So I hardly ever open this anymore. This brand new one is doing the exact same thing. You see that? You see all that white in there? That is not good. All right, so let's talk about the buttons here really quick. They switch sides here. Like, it's not built the same exact way. Oh. But the number of the buttons are the same. These little, you know, squares all over the place. The biggest difference is the, you know, that little circle inside there. The original one kind of has a peg sticking out of it, like it's a big button. And this one is just like a circle with a, you know, a hollow center. I kind of like the big button version. I think that looks a little cooler. The brand new April can hold the portable computer in her hand, but yeah, I feel like it's, you know, it's going to fall out. Plus, I'm a little nervous. You know, you don't want to accidentally break these fingers or something like that. I don't know which hand works better, the regular gripping hand or the trigger finger hand, but you kind of have to work it to get it in there. But like I said, it looks decent. It's a nice size compared to her body. It's not too small or anything. April really does come with a lot of accessories, and you know, a lot of these are really cool. Like, I really like this press pass. This is pretty neat, and I didn't even have to pay an extra $60 to get this thing. You know, it's cool. The string around her neck is pretty nice because you can put this press pass on top of her head without having to pull off her head. Will I be able to get it off the same way? I don't know. It's kind of getting stuck underneath the hair. I was able to at least get it on without pulling the head off. There we go. Yep, I can pull it off. April comes with two versions of the Turtle Com, one that's closed and one that's open. I think that these are really cool. You know, sometimes when they have little tiny props or whatever, or accessories, if you have like an opening mechanism, it could kind of be a little clunky. So I'm perfectly fine with them making ones that, you know, making one that's open and one that's closed. I think these look pretty cool. I mean, there's not much paint on this Turtle Com here. It's just the same color. But the paint inside of this Turtle Com, the one that's open, that looks really cool. For a quick comparison, here's NECA's version of this Turtle Com. Now, it's roughly the same size. It does open, you know, so it does have like this big hinge on the back of it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you know, it's not that distracting, but it is just a little more clunky. You know, it's not as sleek as these other two. The paint on top of this is actually pretty nice because you actually have a different colors going on here. The detail inside of both of these is really nice, and it looks like they really tried to make these look as accurate to the cartoon as possible. In my opinion, though, I think that the Super7 one just looks a little cleaner, just a little nicer in general. But, you know, some of the shapes and stuff like that on the NECA one are pretty cool, too. And plus, I really like that little, like, cartoony picture of Donnie there. That's pretty cool. And here's a picture of the Turtle Com in the cartoon. So, April has 4 sets of hands, and all of them are, you know, good. You know, you're going to use all of them whenever you can. First, you have the trigger fingers. You know, she's got a trigger finger on both sides, so, you know, she's ambidextrous. She can hold the gun either side if you want to. Plus, the hinge is a pretty decent hinge because it's like a vertical hinge, so you can kind of point down or you can point up. You know, that's all good. Next, she has a set of regular gripping hands, and she can hold all of her items with these hands, and that's pretty much all you can ask for, you know. I hate it when you get toys and, you know, they can't hold their weapons or items, but April here, she can hold every single one of them, and that's great. Next, April has a set of open palm hands, which I think are great for expressions and whatnot. Now, if you looked at a lot of the stills I used in this video, she's always putting her hands up like this, like she doesn't know what's going on. Did you notice that at all? I can't tell if I'm like subconsciously just taking all those screenshots from the cartoon, or if she's just constantly asking like, what is going on? I don't know. What are you doing? Hey, how's it going? So, you know, these hands are perfect for that pose. And finally, April has a set of fists. Now, these are pretty cool, but I feel like they're like a little too thin. Like they don't necessarily look like if you make a fist, it's like maybe it should be a little bulgier or something like that in the front there, but you know, it's fine, whatever. Pow. April has 3 different heads. Count them, 3. Wow, I think that's the most any Ultimates Ninja Turtle figure has had so far, so that's pretty cool. As I said earlier, I think that this head is the best. I don't think it's anywhere near as shiny as the other 2 heads. And just proportionately, I don't know, I just think it looks the best. Now, I talked about this one excessively, so that just leaves this one, the headset April head. So let's talk about that. So this extra, like, headset head is pretty cool. You know, I like the headset a lot. I think it looks pretty neat. This head is, like, the same proportions as this 1988 head. So, unfortunately, you know, it would have been cooler if they would have made this headset on the better head. Just like this 88 head, it's very shiny, you know, so that kind of stinks. However, the paint is done really well. Unlike most of the other April heads I have, the lips are actually on center with the actual sculpt. However, I do have this like mark right by her eye. I'm trying to get an extra one or like a new one from Super7. So, you know, if I ever get one, I will update in the comments and let you know. But, you know, this looks pretty cool. You know, it fits on the head. It actually looks correct. Like, you're not losing any kind of mass or anything like that. It actually looks like it's sitting on the head like it should, which is pretty nice. Now, in the cartoon, April, like, hardly ever wears a headset because when April is out interviewing people, she always has a microphone in her hands. So, like, very rarely do you actually see her wearing a headset. But there is one episode that I noticed her wearing one, and that was just so she could speak to Burns. And that episode is Super Bebop and Mighty Rocksteady. That's from season 3. That's the only time that I remember seeing April wear the headset. You know, I think I would have taken a note if I would have seen her wear it some other place. And the reason why it stood out so much is because Vernon is the one who usually wears the headset, because the majority of the time he's behind the camera, you know, taking instructions or whatever. April in the front, she's always got, like I said, she always has her microphone out when she's speaking to people. Well, that was a lot of accessories to go over. Finally, you know, this April actually feels like an Ultimates figure. Like, she has enough stuff to really make this worthwhile. You know, the Ninja Turtles are cool, but like Metalhead, you know, he kind of didn't have that much. And Rocksteady, I felt like he could have had an extra head. This April seems loaded with lots of great stuff, so, you know, I can't really complain about this Ultimates April figure. Now it's time to get into all the different comparisons. Alright, so first let's start off with the Fred Wolf series. Now, for a while I've seen people ask, like, you know, how did the Ninja Turtles look next to this April? Because people have not been too happy with NECA's April. So, if you watch the cartoon, they're actually in scale with this April. Like, the tops of their heads should be around the tops of her shoulders. So, they are roughly, you know, the correct size. She's just not proportionally correct, like the April in the cartoon. Also, like, her face doesn't look anything like the April face in the cartoon. So, you know, like, this works well, but I think when you start to add more of the Fred Wolf figures, you know, it's not going to look so good. Actually, you know what? I kind of take back what I said. This actually doesn't look that bad with the rest of the Fred Wolf figures. I thought maybe she would have been, like, way too big next to the human characters, but she's actually in scale where she should be. In the cartoon, her and Vernon are pretty much the same exact height. If anything, like the Shredder, you know, he should be a little taller, but that's sort of like on NECA. Like, this Shredder should actually be bigger than he is. So, you know, this looks perfectly fine. The only weird thing about it is, you know, April looks like she's got like a massive wedgie or something like that compared to the other people, because her pelvis is just like I said, I think it's way too short. Like, it should be a little lower in her body. But yeah, like, this looks okay. Like, I think if you did like a like a custom paint job or something like that, this would fit really well if you were unhappy with that original Fred Wolf April. Why were people unhappy with the original Fred Wolf April? Well, because she looked like this. All right. Here's some of the problems this original April had from the Fred Wolf series. All right. She was a little too short. Like I said, the tops of the turtle's head should be around the height of her shoulders. The other thing is that, like, her upper torso, in my opinion, it looks like caved in or something like that. Like, I'm not even talking about like she needs to be busty or anything like that. I kind of discussed this in my my 2017 to 2020 accessories video. It looks like her rib cage is just kind of like shrunk in or something like that. It just looks like it's not like one of those like where are her organs kind of things. Like when people look at like J. Scott Campbell's artwork or something, because that looks perfectly fine, but there's just something about this that it's like I don't know, it's just kind of out of sync with everything. I don't know, it looks like her shoulders are collapsing upon her body or something like that. Not to mention her head is like gigantic. If her upper torso was just like a little bit longer or something like that, and it would possibly make her head look more in proportion with the rest of her body. So we'll just have to see. We'll have to wait and see what NECA does with their Ultimate April. In my opinion, that's the only reason why this April and the Bashed Foot Soldier haven't been put up for a pre-order. It's because they were waiting to, make a new April for everybody to spend their money. Now, here's April standing next to the Mirage Ninja Turtles. And, I think this is actually a pretty good matchup, too. Like, I think she fits in really well with them, considering, that she appeared like this on the cover of the third printing of issue 2. I think that's a pretty good match. Here she is next to the NECA 1990 movie Turtles, and this doesn't work. They're way too realistic compared to her. She looks very much like a toy next to them. Now here's April next to a couple of Super 7 Ultimates, and also this Mattel Thundercats Pumira. So the thing is, I don't think that the Ninja Turtle Ultimate figures will necessarily fit in with the rest of the Ultimates, because all the other Ultimates are sort of built off of that like He-Man Classics or Masters of the Universe Classics body. And like the humans in this line, they just don't match those bodies. So I don't necessarily think that April would be able to cross over, if you want to mix and match your Ninja Turtles and other Ultimates figures. I do think that like the Ninja Turtles can cross over because they're anthropomorphic animals. You don't really have to have like I don't know, you don't really have the same kind of comparison in your head or something like that of like humanoid characters standing next to each other. But like I said, the humans I just don't think fit in that great. Here's the brand new Ultimates April, standing next to one of Playmates Turtles Classics, Donatello, Classic Turtles Classics. I don't even know if Classics is still in the title anymore. I don't even know if Playmates gave them that title or if they were just, fans were just copying Masters of the Universe. But here she is standing next to him, and, she looks okay, but, if you're picking up this Ultimates April, you should be picking up the Ultimates Turtles. I mean, they're a lot better than this guy. So one thing I wanted to take a look at was, April's skin. How does it compare next to the Shredders? Because, everybody's been making such a big deal about this, saying about how it looks kind of waxy or glossy. Like, it does look kind of waxy. It kind of does look like a different type of plastic. Like, the Shredder's body definitely looks more solid or something like that. I think that if they were able to tone down the shininess of this plastic, this April really would have excelled, and people wouldn't really have much to complain about. Here's the last comparison that I wanted to show. All of these Ninja Turtle toys were released between 1988 and 1990, the latest being Mutagen Man. And if you watch any of my Wave 3 videos, you will see the same exact dissolve. I just wanted to include this because I think it's pretty awesome. So these are all the toys that were released back when we were all wee ones, and here are the brand new Super 7 Ultimates figures. Like, this is crazy. If I put any more Ultimates on this table, I think it's going to collapse. And now it's time for the Ultimates comparison. This is where I compare this brand new Ultimates April to as many past Aprils as I can. I don't have many of them because I usually skip April. But here's April standing next to the original 1988 April. We've covered her in excessive detail in this video, so there's not really much more to say, other than, you know, this April isn't even the original. The original one doesn't have the blue stripe going down her pants and her arm. You know, I've never picked that one up because whenever I've looked for it on eBay, all the ones I find always have, like, you know, the toy spots, like the mold spots on the legs and stuff. So I'd rather just spend my $30 on, you know, other stuff. Here is the 1990 upgrade of that figure that had the better head and those like orange spots. Although, you know, like I said, I think that the original one, the more simple design with like the blue stripes going down the side, is probably just a, you know, a little nicer looking than this one. Here she is standing next to April O'Neil from the third Ninja Turtle movie. Now, this toy is supposed to, I guess, look like April in Turtles 2 and Turtles 3. I don't remember that actress's name. I don't think this, you know, looks like her at all, but it's a 90s toy, so 90s toys didn't really get that good with likenesses or anything like that. And I kind of think her face looks a little bit like a ventriloquist dummy. You know, she kind of reminds me of the dummy in the Twilight Zone or something. Something about it is just off, not right. So after that, I really don't have any other old Playmates Aprils. I do have this, you know, once they ended that line and they began anew in 2003, I have this April, and this was an awesome April. That cartoon was just a great cartoon in general because it was so similar to those old awesome Mirage comic books. And I was discovering the Mirage comics as that show was, you know, being shown. So I'd watch the episodes and be like, oh, that's just like issue 2 or 3 and stuff like that. So in that cartoon, you know, she was Baxter Stockman's lab assistant, and, you know, eventually he turns on her and tries to, you know, have the Mousers kill her. This one came with a pipe, which is kind of funny. Like, that's her weapon. And she also came with a computer, just like the original April. All right, so we'll get rid of that. And what do we have next? Oh, yeah. April from the 2012 series. Now, like I said, I skip April lots of times, so I don't have a regular April. I just have this one from this, like, the space set. Like in season 4 the Ninja Turtles all go to outer space. April goes with them, and she kind of has this space suit that looks just like the, you know, it's definitely an homage to April's suit in the 80s, you know? I mean, it's a yellow jumpsuit. Even she's got white boots, you know, just like that old cartoon or design. And then after that, we move on to NECA. And NECA has released some pretty cool Aprils. I do really like this Mirage Comics April. I mean, this looks just like April in the comic books. Issues 2 and 3, to be exact. You know, she has this kind of jumpsuit. She has the same exact hair. It's kind of long and bushy like this. In issue 4, April gets a perm. So her hairstyle changes completely. You know, she almost looks like a completely different person. I think her hair just looks kind of like Kevin Eastman's hair, actually. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. It'll be interesting in the future to see if NECA will, like, you know, re-release all those old original Mirage Ninja Turtle toys, or like possibly make brand new versions with different articulation and stuff. So here's April standing next to the Fred Wolf series April, and yeah. This is another thing. It'll be very interesting to see if NECA fixes this or changes it when they release their Ultimates version. You know, that'll be a pretty cool comparison in the future. And the final April O'Neil I have is this NECA 1990 Judith Hogue April. You know, this was a cool figure, but it is kind of, you know, it's got some problems. I've been noticing that the legs are starting to bow a little bit in the middle there. Like, her ankles seem a little weak or something. Plus her knees are kind of weird looking. So I don't know. You'll have to get like I think eventually you'll have to get like a figure stand to make her stand up correctly, which is a bummer. But, you know, on the bright side of things, you know, it is cool we live in a time where in a matter of weeks, I got this brand new 1990 movie, April, and then I got this super brand new Ultimates April. So, you know, what a cool time to be a Ninja Turtle fan. And that's it. I'm finally finished. After like 65 minutes, I've got nothing else to talk about with this brand new Super 7 Ultimates April. All I can say is I think it's amazing, and I think Super 7 did a good job. And now we all have to play the waiting game again. When will Super 7 Wave 4 come out? Who knows? Hopefully by the end of the year. And then Wave 5, oh man, I don't even want to think about it. I just hope that they start making these, start producing these a little quicker than like every 6 months. That's way too long of a wait. There's too many characters in the Ninja Turtle toy line, We're never going to get far if they can only put out 8 figures a year. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate it if you actually stuck around this whole time and listened to this whole thing. Thanks a lot. And talk to you later.